Hey everybody, it's Rob from foundingthefuture.us, and this is your 5 minutes of freedom. Today I'd like to touch on a topic that has been all across social media this week. That is the topic of refugees coming to the United States. Most specifically this week, we've been talking about Syrian refugees and whether or not states or cities would accept those refugees. Let's clarify a few things. Number one, the acceptance of refugees is done at the federal level. Each year, the president meets with members of Congress and decides how many numbers of people from countries around the world will be accepted by the U.S. refugee program. This is the way that it has been done since just after World War II, when the first U.S. law regarding refugees was passed. Prior to the first U.S. refugee law, refugees fell under all other INS or immigration laws, meaning that they had to submit to the same quota system as everyone else from that country, whether or not there were specific circumstances or reasons for them coming to the U.S. Now obviously, when immigration set those quotas for the previous year, they had no idea what might occur, which would lead to large numbers of people needing to flee from their homeland. After World War II, the decimation of Europe, and as the Iron Curtain began to fall on Eastern Europe, it became clear that this quota system just wouldn't work. There were special people who needed to be treated differently, refugees coming from these newly Soviet countries. The Soviet Union has come and it's gone, and now we are facing a new enemy. Rather than a state, now we have groups like ISIS or ISIL who have struck terror in the hearts of those in the West. The incidents in Paris have called into question our refugee program. Allegations have been made that taking in refugees from Syria could inadvertently mean allowing in ISIS members who could then form terror cells who could strike at the heart of the United States. This claim is made even though stories now, at this recording, seem to support the story that all the ISIS terrorists who struck in Paris were European-born or naturalized citizens. I don't want to wander back onto the issue of the Paris attacks. There's already been far too much politicization of the issue. What I'd like to focus on today is the issue of refugees and what it means to be an American. America is a country of refugees. From its very inception, from the first groups who came here, all have come to America seeking refuge from something. In the early 17th century, a group seeking asylum from religious persecution set out from Holland under an English settlement and came to the New World. They settled in Massachusetts Bay, and they were able to worship as they pleased in the New World. We know them now as the Pilgrims. In fact, whether they were fleeing from war, oppression, poverty, starvation, or 1,000 other reasons, generation after generation of people from around the world have come here, seeking asylum from the things at home which sought to end their lives. Very few of us can say that we don't trace our ancestry back to someone fleeing from another country, even if that is for the most minuscule of reasons. If you were to look at the Second Charter of Virginia, you will find on its list of names Sir Hatton Cheek. Sir Hatton Cheek is my ancestor. Although he did not come to the New World himself, he bought a position in the Virginia Company for his son, Thomas. But what was Thomas Cheek fleeing? Well, Thomas Cheek was fleeing a system that was built for him to fail. Even as one of the first residents of America, Thomas Cheek was seeking refuge from a system that oppressed him. I'm sure many of you share a story of ancestry similar to that, maybe even more dire. Whether it be the potato famine in Ireland, Napoleon's troops moving across Europe in one direction, Hitler's troops moving across Europe in the other direction, 400 years of American history have told a story of a place where refugees can find solace. There is no greater symbol of that than the statue which stands in New York Harbor. Millions passed by it on their way to Ellis Island as they came here for a new life. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France. As France pulled itself out of the depths of war, rediscovered democracy, it looked to the West, to America, as a shining example, a city upon a hill, one which knew that it measured greatness by its diversity, one which accepted all comers and saw that as strength. After the French had made a gift of the Statue of Liberty to America, a fund was set up to try and assist building the pedestal in New York Harbor. At that time, a young poet wrote a sonnet which she called the New Colossus. Later, it would be engraved in bronze and placed on the island for all to read as they passed by. I've seen a portion of that sonnet played out a lot on social media this week. I think it's important that we take in all of the words, not just the portion that people are quoting. So I'm going to take a moment to read the entire thing to you now. A New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beaconed hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. When I read that full poem, it stirred something. Forget about whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, conservative, liberal, none of that really matters here. How about this? You're a human being. We are a country of immigrants. We have always taken in those who have suffered at the hands of others. There are people suffering. Let's stop politicizing the good and the bad and the ugly. Let's see the situation for what it is. The truth is, our ancestors came to this country. Most of them signed their names on a book and came on in. What happened in their former lives in their former countries meant very little when they came here. For refugees today, it's a much different system. There is a complete background check that's done. They must fill out questionnaires, they must pass tests, and they must be relocated here using a voluntary relocation program, not offered by the State Department, but by a separate entity that's independent of the government. There are checks and balances. We are talking about men, women, and children fleeing from oppression, fleeing from those who want nothing more than to see their death, whether that be from starvation or from gunfire. Forget about the politics of this. These are human beings. They deserve our humanity. Don't let the politics of the situation appeal to the lesser angels of our nature. What would our ancestors, those who took those tempest-tossed seas to these shores, think of us doing that? This is Rob, and this has been your 5 Minutes of Freedom. For more information, check out foundingthefuture.us. SST 115.